I'd like to welcome you guys to this week's report. Today is March 27th, Thursday. It's been a beautiful week of weather here in Southern California. A little breezy at times, but nice overall. Bad news is tomorrow it's not so great, and Saturday might be windy. Sunday looks okay, but it's definitely not going to be great weather everywhere. So I definitely would check your weather forecast in your area before heading out, rather than me list everything that's probably going to change anyway. Bad news is we got the cod opener. Well, good news is we have the cod opener next week. Bad news is that it's going to be very windy. I think starting Monday through the end of next week. I'm really hoping that weather is not as strong as they're calling for. It would be unusual at this time of year to get that much wind, but we'll see. There's a pretty big storm up north. It looks like it's getting a little bit of reinforcement from out west. So definitely want to check that weather before you make any plans here in the next week and a half. And I wouldn't be surprised if they pull the forecast back a bit. And if not, it's going to be pretty windy. Yeah, before I get into the report, last week I got a lot of positive response regarding my unsolicited advice. So I'm going to, I took another step. I met with my trainer, Amit, who was happy to put together a little workout routine for anybody that's either not worked out ever or is, you know, a middle-aged guy who spends most of his time sitting in front of a computer, doesn't get much exercise. Some simple things you can do at home with no weights, and good way to get started. And I'll put it at the end of the video, so if you don't want to watch, you don't have to. One of the things I want to talk about in regards to that is if you are middle-aged and you haven't worked out in a while, or you've never really worked out, you need to get a trainer, because they're going to push you much harder than you would on your own. You know, I used to work out a lot when I was young. I stopped for a long time, and then when I got back to it, I just wasn't really feeling it. And I started working with Amit. Yeah, sorry about that. I started working with Amit, and he pushed me a lot harder than I would ever push myself. So that's definitely something. And also, if you get a trainer, I'd recommend going with a small gym. One that I go to, Park East Fitness in Long Beach, there's the most people I've ever seen there is 2 other people. Usually I have it to myself, or there's 2 rooms. I at least have 1 room to myself. That way you're not waiting on equipment and all the other nonsense. It costs you $75 or $80 a visit. But I think it's well worth it in the bigger scheme of things. I mean, consider what we pay for coffee and everything else. Yeah, so that video will be at the end. And one other short thing to say here, and if it's too much, let me know and I'll talk less about stuff. But I had 2 different guys at the PCS show come up to me and talk about how they've been doing content and things like that and were discouraged by negative comments, and they were appreciative of the fact that I just take them as a joke and consider them extra views and comment positively. So whatever you're doing, be it at work, be it at if you're fishing, if you're doing social media stuff, whatever you're doing, people making negative comments is usually due to their own insecurity. So don't let them rob you of your own enthusiasm because they have something negative to say. So that goes for anything in your life. There's a lot of crappy people out here, and now that we have the internet and social media, it's very easy to make negative comments. And it's also easy to take them to heart when we're not really 100% sure what we're doing. So my advice is just have confidence in yourself, whatever that is, and don't listen to the haters. But it's one other short thing I want to add on that same note. If you are doing something outside of your normal job, be it something creative, starting a store, sell product, do video, write an article, anything like that, there's a ton of people doing this kind of stuff around on the internet nowadays. And the only way you have any chance of being successful is to set yourself apart by doing the absolute best product you can. I still have problems with audio and stuff like that, but I'm a big fat guy who breathes through his mouth. I know a lot about fishing, but I'm not real pleasant to look at or listen to, so I put a lot of effort into having higher-end camera, having the green screen, having other things that might make it more entertaining. So if you're going to invest your effort in doing something, try and make the best product you can with it. And that can be whatever you do. So that's it, a little bit of advice. let's get on to the fishing. So before it got windy up the Channel Islands, my friend Pat, who runs the Aloha Spirit, went out over the weekend. Had really good calico bass fish. They got a lot of big bass. I'm sure that's still available for skips to do when the weather's better. I did talk to him after the weekend, and he said that he did get the sea bass last week, as I'd mentioned. And just one fish. It was just a fluke, basically. Probably on a fluke. And he said that the harbor's out of bait up there, so basically he's stuck fishing the squid strips all week, which means sheephead and whitefish. So I think it's going to be pretty windy up there anyway. But the Aloha Spirit's been catching, you know, pretty steady fishing for that stuff. I'm sure once cod opens up, they'll stretch their legs a little bit and catch some other fish. But the Coral Sea, Santa Barbara, they went out and fished sheephead whitefish. They also fished halibut. They got one nice one, but that was it. And yeah, that's been all the coverage up there. So looks pretty windy up there for the cod opener. I mean, like 20, 30 knots of wind. So we'll have to see how that goes. Gonna head down to the San Clemente Island. Actually got somebody out over there earlier this week. My friend James Little. He fished the front side east end and actually had really good weedless fishing for the calicos on that front side. And I'll tell you, that front side of Clemente can be tough. One day you slay them there, the next 10 days you don't catch anything there. You have to have the right conditions. Water clarity is a big problem there, as is water movement. Too much of one, not enough of the other. And we can make for some real tough fishing. But it looks like he had a great day. All the fish came from up shallow in the weedless swim bait. He also had a sand bass, which I didn't know lived in Clemente. I know they're Catalinas, I guess they're Clemente too. And he was acting like a calico bass all up shallow. Who knows, maybe it's a harbinger of big sand bass spawns to come this year, I don't know. I'd like to see it. With all that anchovy that's along the coast, I wouldn't be all that surprised. So, you know, speaking of that, I saw a report from my buddy Mitch on the Blackfish. They were actually free scooping anchovies while they were out on their half-day trip. Things were all, you know, shining and raining on the surface. They just pulled up and scooped them up. Looks like a nice big grade anchovy too. If that stuff sticks around, we're going to have some very good calico bass, sand bass fishing this summer. And maybe halibut, sea bass, everything else, yellowtail, they all like the anchovies. And having that as chum makes for much better fishing than sardines. So we'll have to see how that goes. But, you know, up in the Santa Monica Bay, my friend Bobby Martinez took his forward-facing sonar and drove right up there, caught a bunch of bass, nice calico, nice sand bass. He's got that area pretty dialed. If you're unfamiliar with fishing up there, there are a number of artificial reefs. That's probably your best bet area to fish, but I'll tell you what, they get a tremendous amount of boat pressure. So, I don't have forward-facing sonar, so what I've always done is just pull up short of the spot and then cast to it. And while I can't see fish eat my bait as it's sinking on the TV screen, I can certainly tell if it stops falling or zips off some line. So in those highly pressured areas, you always want to stay off the fish, cast towards them. If you know which way the current is going, try and sneak up behind them current-wise. They're not going to hear your boat as well because the water is moving backwards. And they're not seeing your boat either because they're pointing into the current. If it's kind of slack or you don't know which way the current's going, try and get into on the side of the fish where they're not going to have the shadow of your boat fall on them. And that may sound like a lot of work to catch a sand bass, but I can tell you, I've had days where we don't catch anything. Or you get a bite just dragging the bait on the bottom, and then you approach the spot correctly, you cast the lure to the spot, it sinks 10 feet, 60 feet of water, you got a sand bass coming and eating it. So it definitely makes a difference. So also along the beach, halibut are still biting. Aaron on the native son, who hates being talked about, he really likes it when people are on his boat. He doesn't like when other boats follow him. He's been catching a lot of halibut. And before I get into this, what he caught, you know, if you guys are private boaters and you think that he's just drifting randomly and you drifting randomly around him is going to be productive, you're completely wrong. It may look like random drifts they're doing, but they are very oriented to structure, hard bottom, proximity to spots, a lot of other factors like that. So if you're a private boater and you want to catch a halibut, and you see him out there, why don't you take a look at your chart and see what type of structure he's fishing, and then go find some other structure that you can have yourself and not have to share it with the 40 lines he's got off his boat and the 10 other boats around him. You definitely catch more fish. You'd probably have a lot more fun. It would be more rewarding. But he's got some big halibut, and they even got one on the fluke this week. So I guess they don't just work up at Santa Cruz Island. So we'll be interested to see if we see more guys fishing those down here. Yeah, I fished Newport Harbor on Saturday. As I said I was going to. It was slow. A lot of bait, a lot of outgoing tide, and not a lot of hungry spotties. And the way you can tell if the spotties are actually biting or not in there is if they'll bite a small swim bait or a fluke. Chris Oakes was throwing a little 3-inch fluke on a 4-pound test, practicing for the Lily Call tournament that Balboa Angling Club's having, and he never got a bite the entire day on 4-pound. Where I'm throwing a crankbait on 30-pound and getting more, plenty of bites. Not plenty, but I probably had 8 or 9 bites, caught 3 fish. But another indicator is when you're getting 8 or 9 bites and hooking 3 fish on the crankbait, those bass aren't really biting, just reacting to the lure. So they're coming in, they're not aggressively eating it, they're knocking it with their nose and stuff like that. So they just weren't really in a biting mood. They might have been later when the tide slacked off and we'd had about enough of tough fishing. In better spotty fishing, Rob Cato went down to San Diego Bay over the weekend and had excellent spotted bay bass fishing. This time of year, you go past the Coronado Bridge into the shallows back there, get a shallow running crankbait or a deep running hard bait, and you can just loop spotties all day in there. Look for birds, look for bait balls, stuff like that. Might catch big halibut too. In other San Diego news, I think it was yesterday, my friend Steve Duncan went down there to fish yellows out of La Jolla, and he got his buddy, I don't remember, I saw his name but I don't remember it, I apologize to him. They got a 41-pound yellow. There's been a few yellows down there, mostly running gun, bird school type of stuff. If I was going to go do that, I'd do it on a weekday and probably hope you don't have much boat traffic, because on the weekend it's probably pretty crowded and not much fun. So I talked about last week the Coronado Islands. The San Diego went down and they actually caught a few yellows. I think they had 2 or 3 and 1 or 2 trips, I think. Maybe the first trip they saw fish and then they caught fish the second trip. I don't remember exactly. I made notes, but it's not enough. And yo-yo fish, sonar schools, they'll shot rockfish, stuff like that. That's the way it's going to be down there for the next little while here. That those fish are starting to move in. They'll look around for them. They'll find them some days. They won't find them other days. And some of the days they find them, they'll bite. And as the water warms up, more fish move in, they'll bite better, and eventually it'll be a good fishery like it is just about every year down there. Finally, in offshore news, obviously nobody's been out, but just saw on Facebook the Polaris Supreme is leaving on a 3-day trip on Friday or Saturday. They had to delay it a day because it's going to be windy on Friday, so I think it's leaving maybe Friday night or maybe Saturday morning. They're just going to fish for bluefin, they say. If they've got that level of confidence, I think that they know there's some fish around somewhere. So hopefully they get them rounded up. Hopefully the weather doesn't affect them down there too much, but also promising to see. Anyway, I'm wrapping it up, but you stay on board here and check out the meet. Real good trainer, really happy with him. If you're in the Long Beach area and you're looking for one, I would definitely check him out. If he can't help you out, there's 3 or 4 trainers in that same gym, all nice guys. And wherever you are, give a shot to your local small gym instead of just going to LA Fitness and paying somebody $20 an hour, whatever it is, to train you. You're much better off with somebody that's going to work closely with you, send you food recommendations, whatever you want to do, however involved you want it to be.
How you doing, guys? My name's Amit. I'm a personal trainer. Been doing this for over 10 years. So a lot of us that are starting off with training, you don't want to rush it. If it's been a while since you've done anything. A lot of the times our shoulders are really tight, our chest is really tight from sitting. Got the forward lean from sitting all day, driving, sitting at a desk. Most of the time our back is weak. So you want to start off with getting a band like this, doing some pull aparts, really squeezing your shoulder blades together. and working that, doing 2 to 3 sets of 20 reps. That's really gonna open up the chest, pull those shoulder blades back and down. So after that, we wanna stretch out the hip flexors. From sitting all day, our hips get really tight, our glutes get weak. So you wanna stretch out your hip flexors, come down to a mat, tuck your pelvis forward, sink in, and then you wanna lean back. Feel the stretch in the hip flexor inside the pocket. So you wanna do that a few times, 5 to 10 reps, 2 sets would be great. From there, we wanna wake up your glutes. You're gonna lay on your back. We wanna tuck your pelvis forward, make a flat back, push into the ground, and then we're gonna push through your heels, lift and squeeze your glutes. We're gonna really squeeze, try to hold for a few seconds, and then we're gonna repeat. Tuck the pelvis, flat back, squeeze. We're gonna go as many reps as you can until you feel a burn in your glutes. And then from there, if your shoulders are okay with it, you can start with knee push-ups, making sure you're nice and long, your back is supported, you're not rounding your back, you're trying to go to the mat and push away. So imagine if you're just pushing someone away from you. All right, see how many you could do. Start with 5 to 10. If you could do more than that, great. If you could do a full push-up, go for the full push-up, but you wanna make sure we're tucking your pelvis forward, abs are engaged, elbows at a 45, and we're trying to come down slow and then push off a little faster. You want to keep your hips even and do as many as you can if you can, but start with the knees first, see how many you can do. And if you can do some body weight squats, make sure you're hip width apart, you have a good solid base. Inhale down, exhale up. So slower down, control. Make sure we're not caving the knees in or going out too wide. Toes forward, knees forward, and then come down as low as you can. If you feel in your back, just start off slow. You could even go to a bench. If your back feels too tight, you can start off with this guy. Doing as many as you can until you feel a burn. Do 2 to 3 rounds of that, and then on top of that, if you can do some conditioning, you want to do some walking. So start off with 30 minutes of a walk, preferably outside or in the treadmill, work your way up to an hour a day. Then from there, I would see a professional, preferably a personal trainer that works at a private gym, someone that's been doing it for years. If you'd like to reach out, my name's Amit. You can reach me at Park East Fitness, and my phone number is 562-277-4588. Thanks.
So, yeah, that's it. I'm probably going to fish somewhere this weekend, but I really haven't figured out where. Finally pulled all the upholstery off my boat. It's being redone. And as excited as it was to shoot some video of me showing how to cut and wax the boat, my generous boat partner Matt has offered to pay to have somebody else do it. So I'm not going to complain about that. And we're going to be doing that down at Seal Beach Boat Works, which used to be SoCal Ocean Sports. New shop down there, and I'll give you guys some feedback on how that goes. We're looking to have some work done on your boat. Anyway, that's about it. I hope you guys have a great weekend and good luck if you fish.